In November 1943, after the surrender of Leros and the evacuation of the British from the other islands of the Aegean Sea, the Germans began to develop the captured waters. With an insignificant tonnage of merchant ships and in a virtually isolated theater of war, they had to establish the supply of their garrisons on the islands of the archipelago and take them to the mainland mass of Italian prisoners of war. Protection of maritime communications was entrusted to the 9th Flotilla of Destroyers, 12th Flotilla Rombotov, and 21st Anti-Submarine Flotilla. The 9th Destroyer Flotilla, commanded by frigate Captain Walter Reed, was formed in early October 1943 from captured in the ports of the Aegean Sea, Italian destroyers and destroyers. On the destroyer's turbine, Francesco Crispi, Castelfidardo, San Martino, Caladafimi, renamed TA-14, TA-15, TA-16, TA-17, and TA-19, the Germans strengthened small-caliber anti-aircraft artillery and anti-submarine weapons. After the baptism of fire in the Operation Typhoon, storming Leros, former Italian destroyers began to escort the most valuable ships and mine-sagged 21st Flotilla, as well as independent transport operations. The destroyer Solferino, renamed TA-18, was initially mothballed, countering British submarines. On the morning of December 23rd, destroyers TA-14 and TA-15, Roundbot R-211 and Schnellbot S-54 left the port of Mudros, island of Lemnos, escorting loaded with 2,200 tons of coal, 38-ton steamship Balkan. Prior to the steamer's departure, TA-14, R-211, and S-54 searched for submarines off the coast of Lemnos. At 10:35, the convoy leaving Mudrosa south of the port was sighted by the British submarine Sportsman. At 11:30, Sportsman fired 3 torpedoes at the ship from 1,600 yards. One of them hit the target, causing the vessel to sink. TA-14 immediately counterattacked, dropping 5 series of depth bombs, but the boat remained unharmed. In January 1944, Allied submarines in the Aegean Sea sank 17 cakes and schooners with artillery, but missed 7 opportunities to torpedo merchant ships. Of the 12 torpedoes they fired, none hit the target, with 2 attacks thwarted by German destroyers. On the morning of February 8th, from Ceuta to Piraeus, accompanied by 4 small auxiliary patrol boats, went 4785-ton ship Petrella. On board the ship were at least 3,350 people, 34 crew members, 131 German soldiers, and 3,173 Italians, 382 prisoners of war, and 91 collaborators. At sea, the submarine Sportsman had been waiting for this convoy since February 3rd. Having noticed at 7:50 the ship leaving the port, the submarine at 8:33 at 3,000 yards fired 4 torpedoes, hitting the target with 2. 7 auxiliary vessels quickly came to the rescue from Ceuta, and 3 more arrived from Candia. All of them began to take the Germans off the Petrella. Sent at 10:35 from Ceuta, tug Voltaire tried to drag the ship. Meanwhile, the Sportsman, which had withstood a counterattack by depth bombs from the guard ships, noticed through her periscope that the vessel was still afloat. At 12:15 p.m., the boat fired another torpedo from 4,000 yards, which broke the Petrella in 2. 30 crewmen, 122 German soldiers, and a total of 503 Italians survived. A large proportion of the Italians were killed by German guards, suppressing the panic among the POWs with machine gun fire and grenades. On the evening of February 12th, an even greater tragedy occurred. 2,127-ton ship, Aurea, delivering from Rhodes to Piraeus, 41-15. Italian prisoners of war hit the rock Medina, island Patroklos, off the coast of Attica, and sank with 4088 Italian prisoners of war and 90 German soldiers. During February 10-13, the British conducted a long-planned redeployment of the boats of the 1st Flotilla to Malta. On the night of February 19th, submarine Unsparing to the north of the island of Skiathos Azdakam detected an enemy convoy. It was the tanker Peter, 3754 tons, accompanied by Minasag Drahi and Roundbot R-195. At 03 guys, having correctly identified visually the main target, the boat commander, Lieutenant A.D. Piper, ordered to attack it with 4 torpedoes, but at 03:11 only 1 was fired. Nevertheless, the ship was hit and managed to reach Volos, where she ran aground, repaired, sunk off Skyathos on September 16th by the submarine Vampire. In the following month, the prey of boats of the first flotilla were mostly caiques. Only Sportsman, on March 28th, sank off Monemvasia, 425-ton tanker, MT-23 Vienna. But in April, the same boat had a major success. Leaving Malta on April 18, 21, Sportsman was ordered to take a position off Candia. According to radio interception, data-loaded 5,000-ton vessel was to sail from Piraeus to Crete. At 12:30 on April 20th, Lieutenant Richard Gatehouse spotted enemy escort ships leaving Candia. At 15:05, airplanes and balloons were sighted to the northwest. Guessing that the convoy was heading for Heraklion, Gatehouse rushed to intercept. The task was not easy. The weather was good. The sea was calm. At 15:35, having visually noticed the convoy, and it was 40x 97-ton ship Lüneburg, accompanied by destroyers TA-16, TA-17, and TA-19, hunters UJ-2101, UJ-2105, UJ-2106, and UJ-2110, Roundbot R-210, and patrol boat GK-92, the boat began the attack. At 16:34, Sportsman fired 2 torpedoes with proximity fuses from 5,000 yards. The launch was spotted by an airplane and the Lüneburg began a left turn, but both torpedoes exploded under the vessel and 4 minutes later it sank 4 miles north of Heraklion. The escort attacked the boat twice within 10 minutes, dropping 18 depth bombs, but she escaped unharmed. British aircraft counter-convoy operations Wellington's 38th Squadron, as well as Beaufighters 47th, 227th, 252nd, and 603rd Squadrons from airfields Berka and Gambut, Cyrenaica, regularly combed the waters of the Aegean Sea, attacking enemy boats both in the open sea and in harbors. Special attention was paid to convoys, which included large vessels. Late in the evening of February 2nd, northeast of the island of Amorgos attacked from the air laden with ammunition 4573-ton ship Leda, which followed from Leros to Heraklion, accompanied by destroyers TA-14, TA-15, TA-16, and Roundbot R-195. The ship went in the center of the square formed by the guard ships. The convoy was first attacked by 7 Wellingtons of 38th Squadron. The 8th plane returned to base prematurely. They were met with heavy anti-aircraft fire, but hit the ship with bombs. At 23 Ras, when the Leda was already engulfed in flames, 2 Beaufighters of 252 Squadron attacked the escort ship, one with rockets, the other with guns. As a result, the TA-14 destroyer was hit by a missile in boiler room number 3. In the end, the ship exploded and sank, and TA-14 went into a 3-month overhaul. 2 Wellingtons did not return from the sortie. February 22nd, to intercept the enemy convoy approaching Heraklion from the north, consisting of 53-43-ton ship Lisa, and destroyers TA-15 and TA-17 from Gambuta, was sent strike air group consisting of 6 Beaufighters, torpedo bombers, from the 47th Squadron and 12 fighters, Beaufighter, 2 from 47th, 2 from 603rd, and 8 from 227th Squadrons. The fighters were tasked with suppressing the escort's air defense. Together with the British flew a group of American B-25s of the 310th Bombardment Group. The convoy was covered from the air by 5 Ju-88s, 4 Bf-109s, and 4 R-196. The attack began at 2:15 p.m., 8 miles north of Heraklion, barely a Ju-88 away. Mitchells turned back in sight of the convoy, pulling the Bf-109s back, so that a strike group approaching from the east took the target at 14:17 without interference. Beaufighters dropped all 6 torpedoes and a large explosion was seen on the bow on the starboard side of the ship. Arado and returning messers from JG-27 shot down 3 bow fighters from 227 Squadron, but the Lisa, with 300 tons of food, 750 tons of fuel, and 660 tons of ammunition aboard, went to the bottom. Battle of June 1–2. Because of the actions of Allied aircraft and submarines to deliver supplies to Crete became increasingly problematic, so the Germans decided to hold a convoy not before collecting for its protection at least 3 destroyers and 3 hunters. Convoy consisting of ships Sabine, Gertrude, and Tanais. Destroyers TA-14, TA-16, TA-17, and TA-19. Led by the commander of the 9th Flotilla frigate captain Hans Dominic, hunters UE-2101, UE-2105, and UE-2110, and roundbots R-34 and R-211 was formed in Piraeus to go to Heraklion as early as May 22nd, but due to bad weather it went to sea only in the evening of the 31st. 6 GU-88s and R-196 were assigned to the air escort. It was the largest convoy to supply Crete since September 1943. Through radio interception and aerial reconnaissance, Royal Air Force Command was perfectly informed of this convoy. To destroy it, they assembled the most powerful formation of the entire war in the Mediterranean. 18 Baltimore bombers of 15 Squadron SAF and 454 Squadron RAF, 12 B-26 Marauder bombers of 24 Squadron SAF, 24 Buell fighters of 227, 252 and 603 Squadrons RAF and 16 Squadrons SAF, 13 Spitfires of 94 and 213 Squadrons RAF and 4